We're going to continue now with another segment on the Shelsheles Shel Halacha of Rabbi Wolf Leiter. We've gone through the Bev David, we've gone through the Mitzvah Rishonim, we've discussed his works on the Gaonim and the Rif, etc. Now, I want to show you a major work. After the Second World War, my father's eyes were not quite where they were when he went into the 50s. He had a cataract operation. The difficulty in taking work and producing it and going over galleys, as he had done heretofore, was simply outside the realm of his eyes and his optic nerves. He had great trouble with that. And so, he had a lot of work that he felt had to be brought out into this domain, and that the Shelsheles of Halacha should continue and be made available to the generations coming. In 1964, this book came out, okay? And this book was produced or published in Jerusalem through the good offices and friendship of my father's dear friend, confidant, close personal friend, over many decades, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Kasher, and the effort of his son, Shlomo Kasher, who was known as an enormously Gaonic mind, worthy of being a son of that father, truly worthy. He worked on it for months and months. On the ksovim my father gave over to him that encompassed this. There are 30 tshuvas in here from my Zayd of the Goyen and Ab Bezin and Lembrick into the war. Rabbi Nosson Notte, who was killed by the Germans. This is all that was left, these 30 tshuvas. He had put out other works while he was in Europe in the 1930s, and very much to the point for people, questions of everyday issues, din Torahs, etc. In here, you will find there is, for instance, 30 pages on the Maharik. The Maharik is the, how shall we say it? It's the connecting point between the Rishonim and the Acharonim, just before the Shulchan Aruch. There's a period, some people refer to it as the Zman of the Kadmonim, between the Rishonim and the people who follow Rabbi Joseph Caro and others, the Acharonim. 30 pages, over 3,000 sources, citations of authors who mention and discuss this Marik. Almost every word of his is like gold. And they discuss it from generation to generation. This author will say one thing, another author will question it, another author will answer and then have his own question. It's each little sign that he has there for each group of tshuvas and the Marik. Each one of them is a whole mountain of Torah in itself. Someday, I hope, we'll have somebody do an expanded version. I've given copies of the Tshuvas Marik HaSholem, which came out later, with my father's notes that were in here in the Tzion and Epishchaya. I can show you, very simply, the regard of Rabbi Zabel Leiter. This book was put out by Rabbi Deutsch of Kol Torah, Rabbi Schlesinger, a noted Talmud Chacham, and they put out this Marik with very comprehensive introductions. There are things in there that my father had written on the Marik already in his work on Gittin, etc. In here, they have people, six people who wrote Ha'oros, notes, and things of that nature, clarifications, commentaries on the Marek. They are Rabbi Yoyer Chaim Bachrach, known as the Chavis Yoyer, Rabbi Aryeh Leib Mimitz, known as the Shagas Aryeh, Rabbi Yankov Emden, the Yavitz, Rabbi Meir Posner, the author of the Chuvas Beis Meir, and Rabbi Moshe Yehuda Leib Mikutna, the author of the Zayis Ranan and the Tiferet Shelsheles, and last, number 6, Rabbi Zev Wolf Leiter. With this pantheon of greats preceding him, they produced, in this edition, perhaps 12.5 pages of their notes and hasogas and discussions on the Marek. But a truly comprehensive effort going all over the place with 3,000 plus citations was also included in 30 pages from Rabbi Wolf Leiter. So you can see here the Chuvas HaMarek, and at the beginning of the Chuvas HaMarek here, you can see Kuntris Hagoyos and Sionim Megoinei Adoros. This is a page that precedes the works of all of these great luminaries in the Jewish pantheon of halacha and commentary. And we have there Rabbi Wolf Leiter. I want to make a point to tell you that one of the workers in Talmidim, as it were, in a sense, of Rabbi Metzger, the author of many works that he put out under the aegis of Rabbi Menachem Mendel Kasher, and today continues his blessed work in the Encyclopedia Talmudis. He is the one who brought it to the attention of these people, namely Rabbi Deutsch and Rabbi Schlesinger. If you're working on the Marek, go to this book, okay? Go to this book and you will find the greatest treasure house. He's the one who brought it to their attention. And of course, the other things that Rabbi Leiter wrote regarding the Marek, which appeared in his work on Gittin and his discussions there. And he did this without any thought of recompense. He did it for the scholars of the world, and he does his work, which is really, truly amazing. And I think what my father wrote in the Hagdoma, in the introduction, okay, to the Chuvas Agonim, when he wrote this, that the Chachomim, the wise men of Israel, who know to give value to the words of the Gonim, they work very hard, and they find one leap here and another leap there, one in Oxford, one in the Geniza of Egypt, etc., one in Peterburg, and they put them together. Blessed is their work. Their very difficult, strenuous work, and blessed is the person who does that work with diligence and seriousness so as to return to us the great losses that we have endured till now. That is Rabbi Metzger. May he live a long and healthy and productive life as he has in the past. We owe him a great debt. Our family owes him a great debt. And my father, I'm sure, if he were here, would to express his great gratitude to him. In any case, this book was put out again in 2014. I had the merit and the chance to speak to the son of Rabbi Metzger, and I asked him, please put out a comprehensive biography, include something about my Zayda, the Dayan of Lemberg, Rabbi Nosson Notu, who died al Kiddush Hashem. He found many, many things here. I shared letters with him, and in this book, the second edition of the Tzila Nefesh Chaya, a lot of the things were brought down in over 50 pages. And by the way, Rabbi Metzger's son told me that he could have written 3 times as much. The connections with Rabbi Meir Shapiro, the connections with Rabbi Meir Art, the connections with the Belzer Rebbe, a lot of material never seen before, with a Chortgeber, Geza, notes and letters from people like the Chofetz Chaim, on the Haspedim Rabbi Leiter gave in Pittsburgh, on the noted Goin Yochid Bedoire, Rabbi Cook, and also Rabbi Herzog, and the Goin Ador, and the Goin V'Kodesh Ador, the Rebbe of Belz, among others, as well as Litvish Gedolim, Rosh Yeshivas. And there are notes here on the Chassam Sofer, and then they continue some more notes on the Chavis Yorah, which already, I believe, appeared in the Bev David, and other Geonei Hadoris, who are all part of that Shelsheles Shahalocha, the Rashbash, the Rokeach, a major Rishon, the Rama Mipano, the great Mekubal, and who wrote also Chuvas of significance. Many of them are in here. My father took what he had that he felt was most important, most vital to the Jewish people, and entrusted it to the hands of Rabbi Menachem Mendel Kasher and Rabbi Shlomo Kasher, is tremendously, brilliant, absolutely, truly brilliant, an overused word, but in his case, not even to sufficiently describe his greatness. The one who put out Svarim of the Rogachover, that should tell you more than anything else. My father, by the way, did correspond with the Rogachover, and it's mentioned in the Beth David when he was 17, an answer that he got from him, and he included it in a tshuva. I would like very, very, very much that people should use these things. They should know where to look. They should know people who they should ask where. If you need to know more about Rabbi Wolf Leiter and his writings, speak to Rabbi David Metzger of Yerushalayim. He is the one who knows the most about Rabbi Wolf Leiter, to my knowledge, and his writings. And his son, of course, knows very much about the life. Itamar. I believe this is a conclusion to some of the writings of my father. There may be other issues. I want to tell you one thing. Rabbi Leiter was concerned about the issue of Aguna and everything having to do with a Jewish woman, because probably of his great mother. Rabbi Meir Shapiro said the same thing. His mother was primary in his life. And the Satmar Rebbe said when asked, how come we see a son who is great in some mishpachas, and how come do we see a son who's in the other direction? Different people gave different answers. I repeated this at the Levaya of my dear wife, who all of this is in her honor that we are discussing today and up till now. Dina Shapiro Leiter, the daughter of Rabbi Shapiro, David Shlomo Shapiro of Milwaukee. A truly great American product, the greatest rabbinic product produced in America. My father said many years before I met my wife or knew of her. An exceptional person, which requires a whole separate series of videos and reprintings. Let me say this much. I was very pleased to be able to present this to all of you. I hope it will be utilized in a manner that will enrich and help continue and help revitalize this interest in halacha. My father felt the Rambam was the one who brought back B'Meluyah right after Reb Sadia, Yohan, the rabbinic traditions. And it was really, to a great degree, as you see in the Yad HaChazaka, brought to its monumental significance, even until today, by Reb Moshe Maimon. Okay? He enunciated that to me. So that Shelsheles is the most important thing that we as Jews have today, and even people who are distant from Jewish life. Many of them can utilize it and be brought back to their primogeniture, their birthright. Yehi Ratzon. It should only be that way. It's been a pleasure trying to do this as best as I can, and as long as I can. I hope that we'll have other discussions about Gedolei Yisrael and what they left us and what my father wrote in this letter to my dear brother David, who died young. In this letter, my father wrote in 1962 that in 50 to 60 years from now, it should be brought out the many documents and letters that I have so that we will know about the Rabbonim and the Rabbonut HaChareba that was in Poland, as well as other countries nearby. The Holocaust remained with him always. The loss of his family was mentioned in this work, the work Sion L'Nefesh Chaya. He said, Dakuni adikduka shel nafshi. The Tzoros, the terrible things that happened to his mishpacha in Europe, shattered him to pieces. We can't even begin to imagine the ergeshim of such a person, because these ergeshim, this humanity, this humaneness, this goodness, this graciousness, and this greatness was also in the area of his humanity, side by side, and thereby his ergeshim for the Jewish people matched the halachic greatness. And maybe someone will see something there and be able to, in some measure, imitate that. My father reached out to everybody. It didn't make a difference. Even the simple man in the Gilitziana Shul in Pittsburgh said to me 40 years after, he had not been there anymore. He had been in the Hill District, and now he was in Squirrel Hill in Pittsburgh. I can remember your father getting up to speak. A simple man in a grocery store who owned one on Murray Avenue. And he used to get up and speak and say, to begin the drosha, and he would say, Achai v'rei. I don't know if he understood what my father said afterwards, but that Achai v'rei, that connected him with my father, Yiddishkeit, and hopefully for his descendants. It's important to be able to do all these great things, but it's important to reach each and every one according to their abilities, which the Rambam accentuates constantly that one should do according to his capacities. And he did according to his capacities. He felt he should have done more. I heard him say that many years later in his old age. But, the people who he reached were enlightened, they were elevated, and many of them went on to truly great things. Perhaps we'll discuss that at another time. In the meantime, it's been a pleasure. Be well.